China really wanting to position as the next global leader, and I don't think if you were going to go there, because a lot of people think that they want to be the world reserve currency, and I don't think they do personally. I think they want to influence and have the highest level of influence, but I don't think they want to take on that responsibility. I think that goes to the IMF, International Monetary Fund. I think that we're going to end up with a global currency, the SDR, special drawing rights, which is the currency of the IMF, and it's just a name. SDR it's just a name, just like the US dollar. It's just a name. And then we'll have local currencies so that it'll still appear to not be one world controlled.
Got it.
But the other part of what they've talked about, meaning the IMF and a lot of their documents that I read, is wanting everything held on these digital tokens broken down into itty-bitty bite-sized pieces, because ultimately, and this is not, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm data gal, right? So if I can't prove it, I don't say it. But, what they want is they want you to volunteer. They want you to volunteer your freedom. They want you to volunteer your wealth. They want you to volunteer your equity. And the way to get you to do it is perception management, right? So even going back to the inflation, and if they can move up your purchases, this is where that problem is. So it's fascinating to me where we are right at this moment, because you need the supply chain that needs people buying less so that they can have a chance to recoup and get up to speed and fix or shift what's broken. If you think about negative rates, and I say, attacking your principle, but and I'll go into the freedom in a second, but if you have, $1,000 in your bank account and you don't go out and spend it, and negative rates are attached to it, then you open up your bank account and now you have 95 or 950 eating your principal. And then all of a sudden you've got $900, etc. Right? So rather than sitting there, and this goes to freedom too, because it's freedom of choice, which we're losing a lot of that these days. And it really scares the bejeebies out of me. But if they control the money, they control the population, because we work for money. We use it as a tool of barter. I mean, they've really gotten people into this mindset that the only function of money is barterability. And you can't save it because, number one, it loses purchasing power over time. And in negative rates, it even loses principal value over time, right? So if your wealth is held in the system, they're really controlling you. And that goes to the loss of freedom and the loss of choice. If you know something to be true and you don't do anything about it, shame on you. I mean, really, shame on you. And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I could definitely see how this is really overwhelming, that whole mantra piece. But you look at where you feel the most vulnerable, and then you start to attack one thing at a time. Everybody here comes in with skills. We all have skills. We all have gifts of some kind. And so that's why community is, I put that up there. Food is the biggest issue for most people, but I put community up there, probably as important or actually maybe even a little bit more important than even your basic food. Because, coming together in community, everybody has different skill sets. And they also have, and it's, what can they do? Start thinking for themselves. Start thinking logically. And if something doesn't make sense to you, believe that it is insane, that it doesn't make sense. Not, oh, well, they must understand it. I don't understand it. If you can't understand it, there's a reason why you can't understand it. It takes us back to the digital currencies. You have to be a specific kind of engineer in order to understand how these things work. Well, that doesn't make me very comfortable, to be perfectly honest with you. If I can't understand it or the logic behind it, then who's controlling it? And how can it be controlled? And what are the intentions behind those entities or those people that are actually controlling it? Because what it is a contract. That's what it is. That's what all of these financial instruments are. And people don't think about it that, well, it's a stock. Well, it's an ETF. Well, it's an annuity. Well, it's this, or it's a contract. So you need to understand the choices that you're making. You need to think independently. And if you don't understand them, then you can come together in community and talk to somebody that's part of that community that can understand it, or walk away from it, quite honestly, and say, okay, maybe I'll gamble a little bit over here, but if I can't understand it, then, and I can't really own it, right? It's contract. I can't really own it. I'm just subject to the counterparty to that contract. So I really think that people need to start thinking for themselves. Don't take my word for it. Don't take your word for it. Don't take their word for it. Look at all of the data. Read the articles. That's why I always publish links. You know, this is my opinion. That's all I can give you is my opinion, right? But this is all of what I was looking at. Well, not all, but this is a part of what I'm looking at to formulate that opinion. Here, you look at this too. You have a different opinion? Rock and roll hoochie coo. We can disagree. We can have different opinions, and we can still be in community. So, you know, you want to be as independent as possible. And these are the things that we all kind of need: food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, shelter. We also, if you have I kind of put this under food because it's your health and it's your wealth. And so you want to be as strong, you want to have the strongest immune system as possible to battle anything that's out there, frankly, and not get sick. If you have a chronic illness, this is something else that you need to plan for. It really is all about control. And that really is the importance of having physical gold and silver outside of the system, because that they can't control.
Right.
Admittedly, Bank of International Settlements, gold held at home runs no political risk. Those aren't my words. Those are the Bank for International Settlements, which is the central banker's central bank.